Hey guys, welcome back to the MyIBSLife podcast. I'm excited to have you all here, and I'm excited to be here. For maybe the two of you who actually listen to this podcast and might have noticed, I'm sorry that I didn't upload last week. I don't even care to talk about it, which just lets me know off the bat that you don't care to hear about it. So in short, last week was full of bullshit. And I talked about this on my Instagram stories last week as it was happening, but it was just like, last week was full of little things that I didn't want to be doing that should have only taken maybe an hour of my day. Somehow it always turned into like half of my day or the entire day, and I didn't get anything done that I wanted to. Those things include getting my car inspected. Getting my car inspected is one of those things that I absolutely dread doing, and I will put it off and procrastinate on it over and over and over and over again until the day I physically cannot ignore it anymore, because if I go one more day not doing it, I'm going to start getting tickets driving around in my little uninspected car. And then I get there and it takes 15 seconds and I'm like, why the fuck did I put this off until the absolute last day? And I don't know, it was one of those things, but it still took up my whole morning. Like, time did not exist last week, okay? The other thing was I had to go to the dentist just for a regular 6-month checkup. Somehow still took like 3 hours of my day, because my dentist, like, the waiting time to see my dentist is insane. Also, I think if you ever go to a doctor's office and you wait more than 30 minutes, I think we as patients should be able to start collecting like compensation, okay? 10, 20 bucks for every 10 minutes that I have to wait in your waiting room, okay? And then I had my niece's 3rd birthday party, which I love her. I'm glad we went and like got to celebrate her. But it was like, they live an hour and a half away. So it's an hour and a half there, hour and a half back. And it's for like my husband's side of the family, and I love them to death. And if any of y'all are watching this, first of all, stop. Okay, stop. Second of all, why does every family event have to be 8 hours long? I'm not even exaggerating. It's like, if we only stay at a family event on my husband's side of the family for 8 hours, they're like, oh, we barely even got a chance to catch up. And I'm like, what are you talking? I've been here for 8 hours. I love y'all, but I got things to do, okay? So that happened. And I am now feeling stressed because I didn't get nearly as much work done last week as I wanted to, including an episode, and I felt sick to my stomach about it. I also didn't get to go live on TikTok last week. I also didn't go live last night because I was flaring because I was stressed out. So, can you tell I'm supposed to start my period today, too? Can you tell? Okay, great. So with that, let's start today's episode. Today we are talking about, I would say a fun topic, but it's like, we're talking about times our stomachs mortified the fuck out of us in public by making really loud noises. And I say our because I'm going to be telling my stories of when my stomach has betrayed me. But also, I asked you guys on Instagram, I've got them up now, to submit times when your stomach made really loud noises in the worst place possible. And I haven't read them yet, so I'm excited to read those off. But yeah, I don't know what it is. So here's the thing. My stomach literally only makes mating calls that can be heard around the world when I am not only in public, but in quiet public places. Usually serious, quiet public places. I'm not sure if there's unserious, quiet public places. But that's about the only damn time it happens, except, okay, when I am here in this bed with my husband at night, okay? We be cuddling, okay? Don't make it weird. We're cuddling in bed. And every time he puts his hand on my stomach, if we're just like laying there, and it's not like a slap to the gut, it's not like he's like pressing his hand into my stomach, it's just lightly, very lightly, like laying lovingly on my stomach. It's like a magic touch, except the worst type of fucking magic, because my stomach just starts going blah, 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 blah. And it's gas, okay? It's gas that I didn't even know I had inside of me. It's the trapped gas I didn't even know I had inside of me. And immediately my stomach just starts gurgling. He thinks it's funny, but both of us suffer because you know what happens? He puts his hand on my stomach. It starts making noise. He's fucking giggling and I start getting cramps. I start getting those gas pains. And then you bet your ass I'm tooting. I'm tooting under these covers. And then he suffers because another thing about my husband is he okay. My digital footprint. Okay. We're already too far gone into that anyway. So when I tend to pass gas, okay, they're usually silent. But we also know what silent means, right? Okay? They can be a little stinky. Little deadly, okay? But they're quiet. So I'm tooting under these covers and he doesn't really know what's happening because it's silent, but he somehow knows every single time I do fart because it's like the minute I think it's safe to let it out, he immediately starts tossing and turning in the bed and it comes out from the cover and he gets a whiff. And then he starts yelling at me because I farted. And I'm like, it was your hand that I was not tooting before your hand touched my stomach. And then you thought it was funny and you kept going, even though by now you know the consequences that we both suffer when you start doing this shit. And then he's mad at me because he's rolling around in it. Just stay still. What is with men never staying still? You know what I mean? Just don't put your hand on my stomach. You can hug me, okay? But don't put... So anyway, that is a time that it happens and it's always because of gas. But otherwise, that is the only time it happens in my own home, in the comfort of my own home and privacy of my own home. So let's get into the times that has happened to me in public. And now, these times, okay, so this is the other thing. The reason, I have to burp. Sorry. The other reason that my stomach makes loud noises in public is because I have a very bad habit that I do feel like I have worked on so much lately, and I'm a lot better, but especially back in the day, anytime I had to go out in public, including going to school, going to work, I would never eat before I went in fear that I would, not feel well. I'd have an IBS attack while I was away from home. I would get nauseous while I'm away from home, and I just wouldn't eat. So therefore, I would get hungry. And when my stomach gets hungry, she fucking screams about it. She wants everyone to know. So my first two examples of when my stomach mortified me by making the loudest noises possible have to do with school. The first one dates back to high school. I was in a AP biology class. Why was I in there? I don't fucking know, because your girl shouldn't have been in there, okay? I was not smart enough to be in there. I was convincing myself that I was good at science so that I could go to college to become a registered dietitian because I wanted to fix my own IBS and fix other people's IBS. And I was like, let me just take AP bio, even though I was never good at science, okay? Now, this class was full of smart fucking people in all grades, okay? And the kids that were in this class weren't there to fuck around. It is not the kind of class where there's a lot of chattering and noise going on and the teacher's getting pissed off and telling you to shut the fuck up every 5 seconds, because everyone in the class is smart and actually wants to learn and is excited about it. So every day, I think I had it third period. Every day I would walk into this fucking AP biology class that I already hated and I dreaded, and like clockwork, within the first 5 minutes of sitting down at my desk, I would start to feel my stomach getting hungry, and I was like, fuck. Because I knew what was coming next. This classroom, you could hear a pin drop every day, and my stomach would just start screaming whale noises, okay? That's what it sounded like. I'm not kidding, okay? And it was at the point where like I knew everyone around me could hear it. And everyone was kind of like being polite and like trying to ignore it and not saying anything. But I knew everyone in that classroom could hear my stomach every single day. And I felt so bad because I felt like I was disrupting the class, and it was mortifying every single day. And you know what I would do to try to like make it stop? I wouldn't eat. Why would I do that? No, instead of eating and fixing the problem, every day, I didn't care if it was 80, 90 degrees outside, I would bring the biggest sweatshirt I owned to that class, and I would either wrap it around my waist or actually put it on. And then I would do this thing where, like, if you're watching on YouTube, I would like have this big sweatshirt on, and then I would put my hand like right over where my stomach was, kind of like almost like grip myself and try to like muffle the sound of my stomach screeching for food. Sometimes it would kind of help, most times not. Most times it was still screaming, and the minute I would get out of that class, my stomach would stop growling. It was every day like clockwork. So that was one. Second time was in college. I went to, I don't even remember what class it was, but it was a class that I like never actually went to lecture, because I went to the University of Illinois, which is like a really big school. And I'm pretty sure I was like a sophomore. And usually when you're a freshman and a sophomore and you're kind of taking your like gen ed classes, at U of I, you're in like huge lectures. And I'm talking like 500, 600 kids in a classroom. And you didn't actually have to go to class because there was no attendance. It was just like, you either go to class and like learn the information and do well on the test, or you don't go to class and like no one gives a shit. Except you when you start failing everything. Anyway, this was a class that I didn't really go to because it was like a bullshit fucking class that I didn't even want to be taking. The one day I decided to go because I think we had an exam coming up. It was an 8 a.m. class. So I'm also not a breakfast girly. I usually feel like crap in the morning, and I did not eat breakfast before I went to my 8 a.m. I get there. I'm feeling good. 5 minutes into the class, I feel it. I feel my stomach getting hungry, and I'm like, no. And I don't know anyone in the class. It's not like I'm sitting next to my best friend or I'm like with my sorority sisters or anything. No. I'm in a lecture of 500 strangers I've never met before. Okay? And my stomach starts growling. And at first, you know, it's like kind of quiet, and I'm like, okay, maybe it'll just like settle down, like hopefully it won't be a big deal. It just starts getting louder and louder and louder and louder, and the growling becomes more frequent. It's like singing a fucking song. Okay? It's not coming like every 10 minutes. It is back to back to back to back, louder, 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 growling noises, to the point that the people sitting in the row in front of me are looking back at me. They're going like this. Ready? They're disturbed by what they're hearing. They're going, and I get it. I would be the same. I would be fucking pissed off if the person, no, I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't be, but I would be like, are you good? Like, they're looking at me like, what the fuck is going on with you? And then the girl next to me has enough of hearing it. Okay. And I understand. I'm sitting there mortified. Again, it's one of those instances where like people were pretending not to hear it. It's just like, oh, whatever. Like, you know, being polite. And then I'm getting those looks over the shoulder from the people in front of me. And then the girl next to me starts offering me her granola bar. She's like, do you need this? And I was like, no, I'm okay. Like, I still didn't want to eat, even though I'm like, and now I just know that everyone can fucking hear it, and I just wanted to die. And then it was only like a 50-minute class, thank God. I remember like sprinting out of there, okay? And I never went back to that class. I only showed up for exams. I never went back to that class. I couldn't. Are you kidding me? I couldn't show my face again after that. But I remember I went back home after that class because I had like a few hours between when that class ended and my next class. I went home and I was like, okay, I better fucking eat something. Tell me why I went home, ate half a bagel, and then was sick the entire day. Like, my stomach just plays games with me. Yeah, never went back to that class. Another time that's kind of similar was at work. This was when I was working at my first corporate job. Was a dream because we had cubicles and it wasn't like someone was directly next to me, or like even if the office was quiet, it was still like an environment where like you couldn't hear my stomach. I was in my own huge cube. There was like no one near me. It was great. So my stomach could do fucking flips and whatever, and it didn't matter, okay? No one could hear it. My second corporate job, the job I absolutely hated with my entire life, was different. I think it was like once a week I would have to go to a tiny office of ours where it was just me and my friend who I worked with, but it was still awkward. And for some reason in this office, it was like it would echo, and it was just me and this guy that I worked with. And there was one day, again, it was like early in the morning, like 8:30 in the morning. And again, not a breakfast girly, so I hadn't eaten yet today. And I'm sitting there with him and my stomach fucking starts. And again, like at my college class, it just started getting louder and louder and started happening more and more frequently, to the point, again, it wasn't ignorable. My coworker starts laughing at me and asking if I'm okay. And at that point, it's almost just like every single time from there on out that it makes a noise, he's laughing. But then I truly feel like at a certain point, it's like he's starting to get annoyed by it. And again, I understand. I was so mortified that it would not stop that I literally just got up and hid in the bathroom for 10 to 15 minutes. And of course, the minute I went into the bathroom, my stomach would not growl. It was like, it knew I moved and no one could hear it. So it stopped. And then I went back out and I was like, hey, sorry, I just like tried to go hide in the bathroom because my stomach's been growling. And then of course it started up again the minute I was back in the office. So those were like a few awkward times and I feel like I'm not doing these instances like justice in my storytelling because I'm really bad at telling stories, but just know I actually wanted to perish every single time that happened in a classroom or at work. It is so embarrassing. But don't worry, it gets worse, okay? Let's see. In high school, my senior year, I started dating this guy. And this was truly the first boy that like I loved, okay? He was toxic as fuck. It was actually the first time that I got love bombed, but you know, that's a story for another day. But anyway, we were in just like a talking stage. It was very early on into us liking each other. And there was a day he invited me over. He's like, hey, do you want to come hang out? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. And I'm like all excited. And of course, because I'm nervous and I'm excited and I feel like my body is super unpredictable, I didn't eat before I went. Okay? We're seeing a pattern. And we are seeing that every time this happens, it is my fault. And I'm taking ownership of that, but I'm also taking ownership of the fact that I will never learn and I will still continue to complain about this. Okay? So I go to his house and you know, I dressed up and I'm like we're at the phase where I'm not acting like myself. I'm trying to be the cool girl. You know what I mean? Like, you're not acting weird yet. You haven't told him you have IBS yet. You haven't told him that you have diarrhea and everything like that. I'm there playing my cool girl part. And we're sitting, just the two of us. But we're sitting, also he was rich as fuck. His parents rich as fuck. He like lives in a mansion. We're sitting in their library. They had a library in their house. They also had a pool inside the house. Okay, rich people. We're sitting in their library talking. I don't know why. And we're talking. I feel it. My stomach's hungry. And it makes a noise. And he goes, oh, are you hungry? And I'm like, oh no, I started blaming it that I moved my foot and my shoe made that noise. I'm like, no, that was my shoe. Like, and he's kind of like, okay, like, but like, if you're hungry, like I have stuff. And I'm like, no. No, it's just my shoe. I'm good. And we're like starting to talk. And then I can feel that my stomach is about to growl really loud again. Cause you know when it's coming, like you can feel it. And my dumbass thought, if I just talk loud enough, he won't hear it. So I'm like talking like this to him, like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. And then I just start talking like this to try, like I just get really loud out of nowhere to try and cover the sound of my stomach screaming. One, it didn't work. So not only did I just get like super fucking loud, but he still heard my stomach growl. Two, it was awkward as fuck. Because after that, he was just like, are you sure you're not hungry? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And you know what? I actually have to go. I think I left shortly after that because I was so embarrassed. And I was just like, now we did end up dating and like everything was fine. But that's just like a memory that will forever haunt me for some reason. It was really embarrassing. Okay, here's my last one for now because I've already been talking. How long has it been? Like 20 minutes? Okay, this is my last one. And then I want to start reading your guys's stories. So this is probably my worst one too. So back in college again, we're back in college. My freshman year, I joined a sorority. Sigma Kappa. Hated it. Okay? Again, another story for another day. But I joined Sigma Kappa and we had initiation day. Okay? Because you get initiated into your sorority. And it's like, it is literally like going to church. It's like, you have to get dressed up. I don't know. Is this for every sorority? For Sigma Kappa? Am I telling Sigma Kappa secrets? I literally don't give a fuck. Like, fuck you all. Not really. That was mean. I have specific people in mind that I'm saying that to. It wasn't for y'all. Anyway, you have to get in your white dress. You have to wear a white dress. And it's like a ceremony. And they only take a few of you in at a time to get initiated. You have to wait your turn to get initiated, and then they bring like a group of 5 of you in each time, and then you're in a quiet fucking room with like candles, and there's like, it's church. Just imagine going to church, okay? That is what initiation was like. There's music and singing, and like, it's fucking weird, okay? Anyway, I didn't eat before initiation, of course, because again, it was like at 7 a.m. on a Saturday, and I probably went out drinking the night before, and I was like, I'm not in the space to eat right now. I'm literally gonna die. So I went to initiation on an empty stomach, and I was fine. Like, I was fine. And then the minute it was my turn to go into the ceremony to get initiated, I felt it. I felt it. I knew it was coming. And I said, fuck. I go up to like the little fucking altar where you gotta kneel as you get initiated. And we're like in front of a microphone because you have to like say stuff and it's like you want to make sure all your sisters can hear you. I'm in front of a microphone. My stomach shrieks at the top of its lungs into this microphone. The entire room heard it and started bursting out laughing. And these are girls that are like, I look up to, okay? They're like seniors, juniors. They're so cool to me. I want them to love me. They're laughing at my stomach just screaming into a microphone. I wanted to fucking die. Literally, fucking take me. Like, I'm sitting here. And then not only did that happen, and it kept happening throughout the whole ceremony because there were still like 100 girls after me that had to get initiated. So then you just sit in the quiet room and watch everyone get initiated until initiation takes hours. hours. And then once the ceremony ended, I remember you get like a big sister. She comes up to me. She's like, so are you hungry? You want to go to lunch? I heard you might be hungry. I was like, shut the fuck up, bitch. Yeah, I think you know I'm hungry. And I kind of should have just known that day was cursed and I shouldn't have joined the sorority, because not only did that happen, but I also got my period completely unexpectedly in my white dress. And then a cockroach also crawled up my leg during the ceremony, and I had to try not to actually scream during this dead silent ceremony. So like all the signs were pointing to, hey, maybe don't do this, and I still did it anyway. But anyway, yeah, those are my times my stomach wanted me dead, wanted to ruin my social life, wanted to ruin my reputation. And let's read about yours now, okay? So on Instagram, I asked you guys, where's the weirdest... Okay, let's try that again, okay? Where's the weirdest or worst place your stomach has made loud noises? So let's take a look. Movie theater. Okay, you know what? I'm sure I think that could be like kind of embarrassing, but also like usually at a movie theater, it's so loud in there that probably no one else heard it, right? I don't know. I'm seeing school, classroom, yep, my own wedding during my vows. Fuck. I'm so sorry about that. That is truly, I honestly thought that was going to happen to me during my wedding. By the grace of God, it didn't. But you know what? I almost feel like it's better that it happened in your wedding than like if you were at someone else's wedding and you were like sitting in the audience watching the ceremony and then it growled and like made everyone distracted. You know what I mean? So I understand the embarrassment, but also you're good. It's your wedding. Your stomach can growl if it wants to. Let's see. My nose is like running. I think I'm getting a cold. While having sex. You know what? Now that you bring that up, that has definitely happened to me too. Listen, when you're doing intimate stuff, there's a lot going on, okay? Things are getting crushed. And I feel like it's like the hand on the stomach thing, like when my husband, but like if someone, okay. But like if you're being intimate and like someone's on top of you or like, you know, things are getting pushed and moved around, like gas is gonna start up. Okay, so you're not the only one. I promise. I promise you that. On stage while I was playing in a very serious classical music performance. Yeah, that sounds about right. The word serious, your stomach just knows when you're in that type of a situation where we're supposed to be quiet, everyone's very serious. Your stomach, the most unserious thing that ever happened, okay? It does not give a fuck. It's going to attract attention to itself. Okay, there's two right next to each other. One said a funeral. The other one says, during a moment of silence for someone who died at my college. See, that is just showing that our digestive system is the devil right there. The devil lives inside all of us, and it shows through in moments like that. Okay? All right. That's fucking horrible. During a silent lecture in one of my classes, been there, yep. A job interview a couple of weeks ago, ugh. Yeah, that could be awkward. I could see that. You're trying to like answer a question and you're also trying not to be distracted by what's going on inside your own body. And then it makes a huge noise. And then like, do you stop and explain to the interviewer like, oh, sorry, that's just my stomach? Or do you play that game of just like, we're both pretending we didn't hear that, but I know you heard it. It's awkward. I'm a therapist and it's happened in sessions before. That's funny. Always when I'm at my lash appointment, we don't talk, just silence in my stomach. that is funny. I'm seeing a lot of like during a test. Yep. Yeah. During exams and stuff, my stomach would always do that. You're bringing up memories that I wish I didn't remember. Let's see. Are there any other like crazy ones? Yeah, a lot of them are school. While wedding dress shopping. Oh, but I feel like that's not too embarrassing. I feel like that's fine, right? It's one thing if your stomach's making noises because you're about to shit your fucking pants while trying on wedding dresses. Okay, I get it. But if it's just like making noise, like, that's okay. But anyway, who's texting me at 1:30 p.m. on a Wednesday? My husband. Okay, great. That's all I have for today. And well, okay, so in terms of advice, let's do a quick advice. And again, did I already say this? I'm not sure. I had to retake the intro of this podcast like 800 times. So I don't know what I said in this version versus the 800 versions I did before this. But if anyone has advice for how to make your stomach not growl or make noises of any kind in public, leave your advice. Either in reviews, in the comments, wherever. Anyone like me that your stomach's making noises because you're usually hungry, eat a damn little snack before you go somewhere. Or if you don't want to because you're already feeling sick, or like me, you're feeling anxious that you might get sick when you're somewhere, bring a tiny little safe snack with you so that if your stomach starts screaming in a weird situation, pop a cracker in your mouth. Or at least bring a water bottle, because sometimes you can kind of like get your stomach to shut up for a few minutes if like you're just filling it with water. Don't chug water on an empty stomach though. That's gonna make you nauseous and that's gonna make you feel like shit. Little sip might calm the stomach down. Also, hey, didn't really work, but you can do my sweatshirt technique where you bring a big sweatshirt and you either put it around your waist or you wear it and cup your stomach to try to muffle the noises. That only works about like 30% of the time, but sometimes it works. The other thing is if your stomach is making noises because of gas or because things are moving along and maybe you're about to have a bowel movement, whether it's a good or a bad one, Gas X has saved me a lot of times, has made my stomach chill out and has made the gas kind of soothe itself. So taking Gas X, taking Imodium, especially if it's like a diarrhea type of situation. Also ask your doctor, like highly encourage asking your doctor, like, and telling them like, hey, my stomach makes noises literally 24/7. I think it's gas, or I'm not sure what's going on. Do you have any recommendations, or like, is there anything I can take to help the gas or to help the bowel movements not make my stomach fucking scream in a quiet lecture? Yeah, definitely let your doctor know about that. That's really all the advice I have. But again, would love to hear your advice. Would love to hear your stories. Leave it all in the comments or in a review. And that's about all I have for this week. And yeah, I love y'all. Thanks for spending some time with me. I am thinking of everyone who has ever been in a situation like this where your stomach has just mortified the absolute fucking shit out of you. Especially during a quiet lecture, church, maybe initiation, something along those lines. And my heart is with you. Okay? My heart is with you. I will be back next week. Let me know if there's any topics you guys ever really want me to talk about. I know a lot of you have been asking me to talk about dating with IBS or like stomach issues in general. I can definitely talk about that, but let me know exactly what about dating you want me to talk about, because there's a lot of layers to that. And if there's anything else you want me to talk about, let me know. And if you would be so kind to rate, review, subscribe this podcast, I will love you forever, forever and ever and ever. And we will talk next week. Okay? Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And yeah. Bye, friends.